Hello everyone. I welcome you all to my online classes. This is Om Maths Corner. Today we shall discuss
Exercise 15.2. Name of the chapter is Statistics for the students of class 11 subject mathematics. In part 1, exercise 15.2, we have already discussed the various rules how to find the variance and standard deviation, as well as we have discussed question number 1 to question number 4.
so let us proceed now.
Today we are going to discuss the questions, question number 5 and onwards. The very first question, question number 5 is find the mean and variance for the data xi, this is the first column, fi, this is the second column. Grouped data. Okay, how to find first of all mean? To find the mean, first of all we find the product of fi and xi. 92 into 3, 276. Likewise 93 into 2, 3 into 2, 6, 186, like this. So this way we have got the product FIXI. Now next is, what is the sum of this column? The sum is 2200, exactly 2200 is the sum of this column. Also the sum of this column is 22. Now how to find mean? Formula is x bar is equal to summation I is equal to 1 to n fi xi whole divide summation I is equal to 1 to n fi. Now this summation is 2200 and divide, and this summation of fi is 22. Dividing this, answer is x bar is equal to 100, which is the mean. Right? Now next is variance. Variance, how to find the variance? First of all, the formula is variance sigma square is equal to, we write here 1 upon n into, simply we can write here summation I is equal to 1 to n fi into xi minus x bar its whole square whole divide summation I is equal to 1 to n of fi. Right? Mean to say, here next column we need xi minus x bar. Xi minus x bar. X bar is 100, xi is this 92 minus 100 minus 8, 93 minus 100 minus 7, 97 minus 100 minus 3, 98 minus 100 minus 2, 102 minus 100 plus 2, 104 minus 100 plus 4, 109 minus 4 minus 100, this is plus 9. Right? Now next step, we find the square of xi minus x bar. Xi minus x bar its whole square. Minus 8 whole square is 64, 7 whole square 49, 3 whole square is 9, 2 whole square is 4, 2 whole square 4, 16, 81. Right? We need fi into xi minus x bar whole square. Mean to say multiplying this and this. We write here fi into xi minus x bar its whole square. 3 into 64, 192, like this way, multiplying fi and xi minus x bar whole square, this column is obtained. Now we find the sum of this column, the sum of all these observations, that is equal to 640, right? Now we substitute this value, sigma square is equal to fi into xi minus x bar whole square. The value is 640 divide sigma fi, which is equal to 22, right? 640 divide 22. Dividing this, the answer we get 29.09. This is the variance of the question. Now next question. Now next question is question number 6. Find the mean and variance for the data using shortcut method. Xi, Fi. This data is given, grouped data. Okay. So first of all, how to find, how to use shortcut method. Okay. Here first of all we select the middle term in Xi, starting and end term, this first, this last, second last, this way we move. 64, this 64 is in the middle. Okay, so we may name this as assumed mean A. Now we write here the value of di, which is equal to xi minus assumed mean, divide 1. We see that difference between each observation, this is 1. Okay, so what is the value? 60 minus 64, this is equal to minus 4. 61 minus 64, this is minus 3. Next is minus 2. Next is minus 1. 0 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. This way, 68 minus 64 is plus 4. Here 1 mean h is equal to 1 in this case. Okay, so what is mean? Mean we calculate this way, x bar is equal to assumed mean plus summation I is equal to 1 to n of fi into di divide summation of I is equal to 1 to n fi into h, right? So what is assumed mean? This is 64 plus fi di. Now we need to find, we calculate here this product fi di. What is this? 2 into minus 4 is minus 8. 1 into minus 3, 12 into minus 2, 29 into minus 1, 25 into 0, 12 into 1, 10 into 2, 4 into 3, 5 into 4, 20. Now we also find the sum of FIDI, this column. The sum is 0. Also the sum of Fi, this is 100. Right? Now we substitute this result, this value. This FIDI sum is 0, divide 100 into 1. So finally we get 64. This is the mean. Now what we do? We find the sum Fi di, this is already given, we multiply these two columns, then this becomes fi di square, minus 4 into minus 8, 32, that is plus 32, minus 3 into minus 3, plus 9, minus 2 into minus 24, 48, minus 1 into minus 29, plus 29, 0 into 0, 1 into 12, 2 into 20, 3 into, next 3 into 12, 36, 4 into 20 is 80. Okay, the sum of this column is 286, right? For what we did this? Because here we want to find the variance. Formula is sigma square is equal to h upon n into, we write here h square upon n square into n summation I is equal to 1 to n fi di whole square minus summation I is equal to 1 to n fi into di its whole square, this value, right? Now what is h? This value was 1, 1 upon n, n mean sigma fi, this is 100, 100 whole square, 1 whole square, n mean 100 into fi di whole square, this sum is 286, minus fi di, the sum is 0, its whole square. So what we find now, 1 upon 1, this result is 28600, two zeros cancelled, so 286 divide 100, that is 2.86 is the variance to this data. Now question number 7, find the mean and variance for the following frequency distributions. Classes are mentioned, frequencies are given, so from here we are required to find mean and variance. First of all, what we do, we find the midpoint of the class intervals, and midpoint we name that midpoint as xi. 0 and 30, midpoint is 15, 30 and 60, midpoint is 45. Similarly here 60 and 90, midpoint is 75. 90 and 125, 105 is the midpoint. Here 135 is the midpoint. Here 165 is the midpoint. Here 195 is the midpoint. Again what we do, we come in the middle, upward to downward we come, 105, we suppose this number as assumed mean, right? So what is the next purpose? X bar is equal to assumed mean plus, we write here summation fi into di whole divide summation I is equal to 1 to n fi into h. Okay, so we are interested to find di. What is di? The value di is equal to xi minus assumed mean divide h. H mean the length of class interval, which is 30, right? So first of all 15 minus 105, this is equal to minus 90, minus 90 divide h, h mean 30, this is minus 3. Similarly this will be minus 2, then minus 1, 0, plus 1, plus 2 and plus 3. We get this way, right? Next need is FI DI. So we write here Fi into Di. This is Fi, right? 2 into minus 3 is minus 6. 3 into minus 2 minus 6. 5 into minus 1, 10 into 0, 3 into 1, 5 into 2, 2 into 3, 6. Right? Now we find the sum of this column. Here sum is 2. We also find the sum of the frequencies. This is 30. Right? So sum is 30. Now what we do now, we write the values here. A, assumed mean, this is 105, plus summation Fi Di, this is 2, divide summation Fi, this is 30, into H. H mean this length is 30. So 30 30 cancelled. 105 plus 2 is 107, which is the mean of this frequency distribution. Now we shall calculate variance. First of all, writing the formula, sigma square is equal to, we write here h square divide n square bracket n into summation I is equal to 1 to n fi di whole square minus summation I is equal to 1 to n fi di its whole square bracket close, right? So mean to say we need fi di whole square. Fi di into di, this will become fi di whole square. Mean to say we multiply these two. 6 into 3 is 18, 2 into 6 is 12, 1 into 5 is 5, this is 3, 0, 3, 20, 18. Now we also find the sum of this column, 76. The sum is 76. So now we substitute these values here in the formula. H square, h was 30, 30 whole square divide n, n is again 30, its whole square divide into n is 30 into this summation fi di square is 76 minus fi di is 2 bracket its whole square. 30 square 30 square cancelled. We are left with 76 into 30, 2280 minus 4. So answer is 2276. So this is the variance of this frequency distribution. Now question number 8. Find the mean and variance for the following frequency distributions. Classes, this is mentioned in first column. Frequencies are given in second column. First of all, we need to find mean. For this purpose, we find midpoint and name this as xi. Midpoint of these class intervals. 0 and 10. Midpoint is 5. 20 and 10 and 20. Midpoint is 15. Here midpoint is 25. Here midpoint is 35. 40 and 50 midpoint is 45. Right? Now what we do? Middle one. We suppose this to be A, assumed mean. So what we write here di, we find the value of di, which is equal to xi minus assumed mean divide h. H mean length of classes, which is 10 minus 0 is 10. Right? So we write here 5 minus 25 is minus 20, divide 10 is minus 2. Here minus 1, this is 0, this is plus 1, and this is plus 2. Right? Now next we find the product of Fi and Di. Where is Fi? This frequencies. This is Fi. Fi and Di product. 5 into minus 2 minus 10. 8 into minus 1 minus 8. 15 into 0 16 into 1 6 into 2 12. Next we find Fi Di whole square, that is the product of this and this, these two columns. Minus 2 into minus 10 plus 20, minus 1 into minus 8 plus 8, 0 into 0, 1 into 16, 2 into 12. Right? Now we need to find the sum. First of all, the sum of this column Fi. Here the sum of Fi, this is 50. Next, what is the sum of this column? 10, 18, minus 18, minus 2 plus 12, this is plus 10. Now what is the sum of this column? This is 68. Okay, now we shall calculate first of all mean x bar, which is equal to a plus summation I is equal to 1 to n fi into di divide summation I is equal to 1 to n fi into h. So what is a? A assumed mean this is 25 plus what is FIDI, sum is 10, divide FI, sum is 50, into H, this is 10. Now this becomes 25 plus 0 is cancelled, 5 2s are 10, so 27 is the mean of this frequency distribution. Now we calculate variance sigma square. The formula is h square divide n square into n into summation of I is equal to 1 to n fi di whole square minus bracket summation I is equal to 1 to n fi di its whole square bracket close. So what is h square? H mean 10, 10 whole square divide n is 50 whole square into n is 50 into FIDI whole square. FIDI square is 68 minus FIDI, this is 10 its whole square. Right? Now further this is equal to 100 divide 2500, 50 into 68, 3400 minus 10 whole square is 100. Right? So two zeros cancelled, this is equal to, further we write it as 3400 minus 100, 3300 divide 25, which is again equal to 132. So this is the variance of this frequency distribution. Now we have question number 9. Find the mean, variance and standard deviation using shortcut method. Height in centimeter in the form of class intervals, number of children, that is frequency, this is frequency. So here we are desired to find mean, variance and standard deviation. First of all, we find xi. Xi mean midpoint of the class intervals 70 and 75. Midpoint is 72.5. 75 and 80. Midpoint is 77.5, 80, 85, midpoint is 82.5, here 87.5, 92.5, 97.5, 102.5, 107.5, 112.5. Right? Now we shall find the value of di. Shortcut method, di, which is equal to xi minus assumed mean divide h. Here the value of h is equal to 75 minus 70, which is equal to 5. Okay, assumed mean in the middle. We come here 1 1 2 2 3 3 4 4 fifth. This is assumed mean. This is a, right? So a is equal to 92.5. Now 72.5 minus 92.5, that is equal to minus 20. Minus 20 divide h, divide 5, that is minus 4. This way this will be minus 3. Next is minus 2, minus 1, 0, plus 1, plus 2, plus 3, plus 4. Right? Now next column we calculate fi di. This is di and this is fi. Their product, 3 into minus 4, minus 12. 4 into minus 3, minus 12. 7 into minus 2, minus 14. 7 into minus 1, minus 7. 15 into 0, 0. 9 into 1, 9. 6 into 2, 12. 6 into 3, 18. 3 into 4, 12. Last column we find fi di whole square, that is the product of this column and this column. Minus 4 into minus 12 plus 48, minus 3 into minus 12 36, minus 2 into minus 14 28, minus 1 into minus 7 7, 0 into 0 0, 1 into 9 9, 2 into 12 24, 3 into 18 54, 4 into 12 48. Okay, now we find the sum of this column. The sum of this column is 254. Similarly, what is the sum of this column? The sum of fi di, this is plus 6. Similarly, what is the sum of fi, this sum is 60. Right? Now we find first of all the mean. What is the formula? X bar is equal to a plus summation I is equal to 1 to n fi into di divide summation I is equal to 1 to n of fi into h. Here a assumed mean, the value is 92.5 plus summation fi di is 6 divide summation fi is 60 into h is 5. So this becomes 92.5 plus 6 ones are 6, 6 10, 1 upon 2, 1 1 5 upon 10, 1 upon 2, which is 0 0.5. So this is equal to 93. So 93 is the mean. Now we find variance. Variance means sigma square. Formula is h square divide n square bracket n summation of I is equal to 1 to n fi di whole square minus bracket summation I is equal to 1 to n fi di whole square bracket closed. Here this is h mean 5, 5 whole square divide n mean 60 whole square whole divide into n 60 into fidi square is 254 minus fidi is 6 its whole square, right? So next is this becomes 25 divide 3600 into 60 into 254. Answer is 15,240 minus 6 into 636, right? So this way we calculate the answer. This becomes 25, 25 ones are 25, 25, 144, 1 upon 144 into this is 15,204. Now finally answer is 105.58. On dividing 15,200 by 144 we get this answer. Variance is equal to 105.58, right? Now last one is standard deviation. Standard deviation, what is standard deviation? Very simple. We just write here standard deviation is equal to sigma square root of this, that is equal to square root of variance 105.58, right? We take the square root now. This is equal to 10.27. This is the standard deviation. Okay, so this was our question number 9. Find mean, variance and standard deviation. Mean is 93, variance is 105.58 and standard deviation is 10.27. Now this is the last question of the exercise, question number 10. The diameter of circles in millimeter drawn in a design are given below. This. Calculate the standard deviation and mean diameter of the circles. Diameters, the range is given here. Number of circles in the form of, we can say this is fi. But what we see here, 33 to 36, then next class is not starting with 36, this is starting with 37. So what is there? These class intervals, they are discontinuous. In order to make these class intervals continuous, what is the process? Point 0.5 lower limit we subtract and upper limit we add. 33 minus 0.5, 36 plus 0.5. So class intervals, new class intervals become, first of all we write here 32.5 up to 36.5. Next is 36.5 to 40.5. Next is 40 44. Next is 40.5 to 44.5. Next is 44.5 to 48.5. Next is 48.5 to 52.5. Now these class intervals, they are continuous. ending upper limit is 36.5, starting lower limit is 36.5, and so on. Okay, now we find the midpoint of these new class interval. Midpoint we name that as xi. 32.5 and 36.5, midpoint is 34.5. Similarly, the midpoint of this will be 38.5. Here this is 42.5. Next this is 48.5. Sorry, this is 46. 46.5. Next we have 50.5. This is the midpoint, right? Now which is in the middle? 1 1 2 2. This one is in the middle. So we suppose this as assumed mean. Here we find the value of di which is equal to xi minus assumed mean divide h. H means the length of class interval. 36.5, h is equal to 36.5 minus 32.5, which is equal to 4. Now 34.5 minus 42.5, which is minus 8. Minus 8 divide 4, minus 2. This will be minus 1. Next is 0 plus 1 plus 2. So this is di. Now we find fi di. Fi di. This is di and this is fi. The product of these two, 15 into minus 2 minus 30, 17 into minus 1 minus 17, 21 into 0 0, 22 into 1 22, 25 into 2 50. Now last column we find here fi di square, that is the product of this and this, these two columns. Minus 2 into minus 30 60, minus 1 into minus 17 plus 17, 0 into 0, 1 into 22, 2 into 50, 100. Right, now we shall find the sum of this column. What is the sum? The sum is 199 is the sum. Similarly, here also we find the sum. The sum is, here the sum is 25 FID. Also, what is the sum of sigma, this Fi frequency? This sum is 100. Right, now what we do, we find, we calculate the mean diameter. How to find the mean diameter? Formula is x bar is equal to assumed mean plus summation I is equal to 1 to n fi di divide summation I is equal to 1 to n fi into h. So assumed mean here is 42.5 plus FIDI summation is 25 divide summation of FI is 100 into H is 4. So 25 into 4, 100 upon 100, this is 43.5. This is the mean diameter of the circles. Now we shall calculate the standard deviation. Standard deviation formula is sigma is equal to h divide n bracket, sorry, we take just the square root, h divide n into square root of n into summation I is equal to 1 to n fi di square minus bracket summation I equal to 1 to n fi di its whole square, right? So this is equal to h is 4, n is 100, square root of n is 100 into fi di square, this is 199 minus fi di, this is 25, its whole square, right? Further, 4 upon 100 becomes 1 upon 25, right? And this is 19900 minus 25 into 25, 625. Next, this is equal to 1 upon 25 square root of 19275. Now we find the square root of this term. The square root of this is 138.834 divide 25. Now on dividing this we get 5.553 as the answer. So this is the standard deviation. Okay, calculate the standard deviation and mean diameter of the circles. Standard deviation is 5.553 millimeter and mean diameter is 43.5 millimeter.
And that's all for this exercise. Thank you for watching. Thank you very much.